Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my weekly wrap-up of August 7th. I think it's the 7th, I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully this will be a short wrap-up because I read 3 things and I've already done a review of one of them. And that was Not So Much Said the Cat by Michael Swanwick. It's his new short story collection coming out in 2 days, and I really enjoyed it. You can watch my review if you want to know what my favorite stories were from it, but I'm really looking forward to reading more by Michael Swanwick. I think I'm just gonna really enjoy him as a short story writer, and hopefully I'll like his novels as well. The second thing that I read was Spinster, Making a Life of One's Own by Kate Bolick. This is a non-fiction work about being an unmarried older woman in America. I'm of 2 minds about this book because I really enjoyed most of what it actually is, but I can really understand people's disappointment because this book was marketed incorrectly. Based on the title and the way that it was originally presented to people, it sounds like a self-help book for being a single woman in modern society, how to be successful and happy, and it's not. It's actually a much more reflective memoir of the author's dating life, combined with her exploration of the lives of 5 female authors from roughly the 1850s to the 1950s that she calls her awakeners. I'm not a fan of reading dating memoirs, but I liked how this was handled. Bolick does an excellent job at pointing out the parallels between her own life and the lives of these women. She kept extensive diaries of her experiences, so she's able to quote herself at certain ages and understand what her mindset was at the time. So I thought it was much more cerebral, intellectual review of her life than a more popular approach might have been. So I didn't end up liking that part of it, and I really thoroughly enjoyed being introduced to those 5 female authors. One of them was Edna St. Vincent Millay, who I mistakenly thought for years was an actress. And she wasn't. She was a really famous poet of the early 1900s, and I think Bolick at one point refers to her as her era's Beyonce, which is pretty interesting. So I loved the literary parts of this. What I do fault this book for is the bad marketing and the premise. Bolick chooses to use a more legal definition of spinster, which is an unmarried, divorced, or widowed woman of a certain age, I believe. And it's not the same thing as what I think many modern women call being single. And this is something that Bolick only lightly touches upon near the end of the book, and I think she really needed to defend her use of this word, especially how she calls herself single. She uses spinster and single as if they're interchangeable terms, and they're not. This is about being an unmarried woman, not a single person. Because like I said, it's basically a dating memoir, so she's talking about the conscious unmarried state of women not being single. Because I'm sorry, when I use the word single, I mean you are not in a relationship. You're not dating somebody, you're not cohabiting, you're not in a long-term arrangement or whatever. You are single. And Bolick has never been single. She's had many long-term relationships. She's been a serial dater, at least at one point. And she never really dives into that. I think that should have been handled with more self-awareness. She really, I think, avoided talking about being single versus dating and stuff. Honestly, I'm not sure who I would recommend this book to, because I think women who are looking for books on the subject of being single in the 21st century would find this faulty like I did, but I do think it has merits for just what it happens to be. The final thing I read this week was Imprudence by Gail Carriger. This is the 2nd book in the Custer Protocol series, which is, I thought it was going to be a duology, but Carriger has now made it clear it's going to be a longer running series. The main character, Prudence, is the daughter of Alexia Terabody, who is the protagonist of the Parasol Protectorate series. So her mother was a preternatural and Prudence is a metanatural. Now, the first book, called Prudence, was not a very good book. And I hate saying that, but it lacked the spark and the wit and a lot of that funness that Carriger's other books had for me. I didn't like the characters in it. I thought the plot was a complete and utter mess. That book has not improved upon reflection, sadly. So I was not sure what to expect from Imprudence. And I'm happy to say it's a much better book than Prudence is. The plot is so much better. It's much clearer what's actually happening. I also thought that it brought back the charm and some of the humor. The only thing that I was unimpressed by is that this particular cast of characters is just not going to be my favorite by Carriger. I am not really into Prudence. I think she's kind of a mix of her parents' characters, and they've already been done. I don't need other characters like them. I can go back and read the Parasol Protectorate series if I want to read more about Alexia. And Prudence's friends are... I just don't. I think Percy is just a freaking little twit and I want to push him overboard. I don't like Kesnel, and Prudence's love affair with him is not my thing. Just... this book would have been improved even more. I would have bumped it up a whole star rating on Goodreads if the whole romantic subplot would have been cut entirely, because it was just unnecessary and pretty cliche, and I'm tired of the predictable romances for female protagonists, so just over it, okay? But other than that, for anybody who is disappointed by Prudence, give Imprudence a try, because I think it is just a much better book. That's everything I read this past week. I'm pretty sure that for the rest of August, my reading and my video output are going to take a nosedive because I'm going to be pretty busy. Not this next week, but the week after is Mid-America Con 2, which is this year's Worldcon in Kansas City, and I'm going to be there for 5 straight days with a bunch of friends, so I'm really looking forward to that, but I think there will be very little time for reading and for booktube while I'm preparing for it, while I am at the con, and then when I get home when I need to recover, because it's gonna take a lot out of my very introverted, low energy self, so I'm just preparing for not doing much of anything else. I'm currently reading 3 books that I like to finish this coming week. The first one is Synners by Pat Cadigan. Cadigan is one of the guests of honor at Worldcon, so I feel I should read something by her. This is cyberpunk. I think it's from '92, and I'm not loving it in the first 50 pages, but we'll see what I think by the end. I have just started Ghost Talkers by Robinette Kowal. I got an arc from NetGalley. I'm really excited. I read the first 2 chapters last night, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I've also started Voyage of the Basilisk by Brennan, which is the 3rd Lady Trent memoir book with fantasy and dragons and sea serpents, and it's gonna be good fun as well. That's it for me this week, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend and a lovely coming week, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.